Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mail Bag for this Sunday, February the 9th installment. My name is John Campia. I am the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, and this is Mailbag, where all we do is take your questions that you send to us on Mailbag or tweet to us, and we just, it's very laid back. It's much more informal. We just talk back and forth as film fans, and here's what we're going to do today. I got 6 questions I pulled out of the Mailbag, which, by the way, you can email us a question anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we pull 6 questions every Mailbag episode to ask, and we also pull 2 questions out of the Mailbag every day, Monday through Friday on AMC Movie Talk to ask on air. And after we're done with the 6 questions I've got from the Mailbag, I had asked yesterday for people to tweet in questions using the hashtag AMC Mailbag. So if you put out a tweet with the hashtag AMC Mailbag with a question or comment, I'm going to do my best to get that on the show today. So first we're going to do the Mailbag questions, and then we're going to take tweets. And without any further ado, let's get into the first question today. And the first question today comes to us from Michael Marinez, who writes, "Hey, movie talkers, love the show. My question is this. You guys show a lot of interviews from press junkets. I was just curious, how do press junkets exactly work? And what are your best and worst press junket experiences?" Well, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to talk about my worst press junket experience, but okay, how's a press junket work? Okay, so here's how it works. Starts off with a publicist from a studio emailing me and saying, "Hey, John, we've got a junket for, I don't know, what movie is, let's say Monuments Men, okay? We've got a junket for Monuments Men coming up. And it's going to happen at the Beverly Hills Four Seasons Hotel. Honestly, about 90%, maybe 80% to 90% of all the press junkets happen at the Four Seasons Beverly Hills. So, and sometimes they happen in other places, but usually it's the Four Seasons Beverly Hills. So say, coming out on, next Sunday, and we'll have time for you to interview all the cast." Okay, great. So then that day comes, and I go to the Four Seasons Beverly Hills, and I go up to what's called, there's this press room, a press waiting room, where all the press are waiting for their time. So you check in with the administrator publicist there, tell them, "Hey, I'm John Camp from AMC. I'm here for the interviews." And they say, "Great, just hang out and wait around, and when we're ready, we'll send you to the first interview." And normally they also have a big buffet spread, and the Four Seasons Beverly Hills puts out some great food, let me tell you this. So there's always a big spread, and you're hanging out, read show notes, watch some clips on some monitors, whatever. And then they say, "Okay, John, you're up first. And the first person you interview is Matt Damon. Go to room 7. Okay, so what happens is the junket takes over an entire floor of the hotel. So, I've gone up to that floor. Let's say it's on floor 12. I go up to floor 12, wait in the press waiting room, eat some food from the buffet, and then they say, "Okay, go down to room 7. So I go down to room 7, and there's some chairs in the hallway in front of Matt Damon's room. So there might be 1 or 2 people in front of me. So I'll sit down in a chair and just wait my turn. And then they go, "Okay, John, you're up." Great. So I go into the hotel room, and there's Matt Damon in his chair, and there's a chair there for me, and there's video cameras on both chairs. And they go in, and usually you get, 3, 4, 5 minutes, however much time you want, they give you. And they tell you in advance, you got 3 minutes, you got 4 minutes, you got 5 minutes. And then they say, so I go in, shake hands, talk to them if I've met them before and they remember me, or introduce myself if I've never met them before. And then we start the interview, talk to them for 3 or 4 minutes, and say, "All right, Matt, well, thanks a lot, and we can't wait to have Monuments Men on AMC screens." Shake hands, leave. Then they say, "Okay, John, Bill Murray is your next interview. Go down to room 21. So I walk down the hall, the hotel, to room 21, and then the same thing. There's a couple of chairs. Pardon me. There's a couple of chairs up front, and if there are 1 or 2 people waiting in front of me, I sit down and just wait. And then when it's my turn, they go, "Okay, John, you're up. Go in, shake hands. Hey, Bill, haven't seen you in a while. Talk for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. Leave." So you do that over and over again until you've interviewed everybody. And then you go to the tape check room. They give you the video cards that look like, oh, look at that. I don't have any on my desk right now. I've actually cleaned my desk, but that means I have no video cards. But they give you these CF video cards that have all your interviews on them. And I go home, go downstairs. Valet brings my car around, come home, give the video cards to Dennis, and Dennis will then edit the interviews together. And if he's busy working on something else for us, I'll edit the videos together, and then we put them online. That's how the junkets work. My favorite junket I think I've ever done, there are a couple that are really great, but one that I'm going to pull up is the one for John Carter. I really liked the junket for John Carter. They actually did it at this resort in the middle of the desert in Phoenix, so it kind of looked like the Mars landscape. And they flew us out there, put us up in this resort, and we got to do a lot of our interviews outside with this amazing background. If you go to YouTube and look up, like, say, my interview with Taylor Kitsch or my interview with Willem Dafoe or things like that, and you see these gorgeous, or the director of the film, I'm looking at his face and I can't remember his name. Anyway, and you look at the backgrounds, it's just gorgeous, and it was beautiful, and we had a great time, and I got to hang out with some of my colleagues who work for other websites, and it was just a really great junket. It was a really, really good time. And that's my favorite. I won't talk about the ones I had my least favorite experiences at, but that was a really great junket experience. All right, so a little bit of behind the scenes stuff there for you. All right, let's move on to the next question today. And the next question today comes from Jeremy Day, who writes, "Hey, AMC crew, on the Friday show, John said that only 4 movies have made him cry before. I'm interested to hear what all of you lists are." I guess what you mean is you want to know what movies have made me cry. Okay, 2 I know off the top of my head. 1 was the Roberto Benigni Italian film Life is Beautiful. Honestly, seriously, if you don't cry at the end of that movie, this is going to sound like hyperbole, but it's not hyperbole. I first saw that movie in a movie theater in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And I was in this theater, and there were a bunch of bikers in there. And I swear to God, I think a couple of them were Hells Angels. That movie ended. The lights came up. Everybody in that theater was sobbing. Everybody. If you don't cry at least a little bit at the end of Life is Beautiful, you have no heart. See a doctor immediately, because your heart at some point has literally, crawled out of your anus and ran away somewhere, because your heart is missing. I would highly recommend seeing a doctor, because the end of that movie is amazing. Another one is a much more silly one. Is My Best Friend's Wedding with Julia Roberts. And the thing I cried at wasn't any of the romance. I get choked up with big displays of loyalty or big displays of friendship. I don't get shaken by romance. I get shaken by that stuff. And at the end of My Best Friend's Wedding, Julia Roberts' character is just heartbroken and devastated and whatever. And she gets on the phone with her friend in Chicago or whatever city he was supposed to be in. And as she talks to him on the phone, she realizes he was there. He was standing across the room. He came all the way because he knew his friend would need him. And that, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. That actually choked me up. And I'm trying to remember what else. I think maybe the opening to Up, that montage showing the life story of the couple before and then when she passed away. I think that choked me up. And honestly, I know there's a 4th, and I can't remember which one. If you guys who have been watching me for any period of time remember which one that I cried at, please leave it in the comments section. I'd like to see it. All right. The next question we have today comes to us from Jason Sims. And Jason Sims writes, "Hey guys, love the show. Do you think DC is rushing their movies to get to the point that Marvel is at with their movies?" Rushing? Rushing? If anything, DC can be accused of is dragging their butts. If you're going to accuse them of anything, it's dragging their butts. They haven't rushed anything. They have not rushed a single thing in years. So no, I think it's quite the contrary. I think if anything, they have dragged their butts way too slow for way too long. So no, I wouldn't accuse DC of rushing things at all. Next question that we have comes to us from Calum. And Calum writes, "Love watching the show. However, I can't express how annoying it is when the same video is divided up and added to your subscription to watch videos. Sorry for the negative point. Everything else is excellent." Well, Calum, you're not the only person to bring this up. If you don't know what Calum is talking about, what we do for AMC Movie Talk is AMC Movie Talk, we always have 7 subjects that we bring up. We have 5, actually really 8 in many ways. We have 5 news topics every day, 2 mailbag questions, and then 1 bonus section for live viewer questions that we take from the live chat board and from Twitter. So those 8 sections, 5 news stories, 2 mailbag questions, and 1 live viewer questions segment, those 8 things comprise a daily AMC Movie Talk show. So every day we put that show up on YouTube. But what we also do is we chop that show up into those individual segments. 5 individual segments for the individual news stories, the 2 mailbag questions, and then 1 individual segment for all the live viewer questions. And we upload those as well. Now, I get some complaints now and again, not as often as you think, but they do come up from people who say, hey man, love the show, glad to be a subscriber, but having all those, that means 9 videos are being uploaded every day. It's it kind of clutters my YouTube inbox a bit, my to watch videos inbox. It kind of clutters it up because all I'm really looking for is the AMC Movie Talk video. And I brought this up about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. I brought it up. I said, hey, we're going to look at it. Maybe we'll change that. Maybe we'll just put up the show and not the individual segments. But when I said that, we got a lot of email from people saying, no, leave it like that. Some of us like to just click on individual stories. And then some people would say to us, I found your channel through individual segments. Because what happens is this. Let's say there's a piece of movie news. Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor in Man of Steel. Okay. If people search YouTube for Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor, they may or may not find our full AMC Movie Talk episode, but they are quite likely to find the individual segment Lex Luthor or Jesse Eisenberg to play Lex Luthor. They very well could find that segment. And I've heard from a lot of viewers who have become subscribers of AMC Movie News on YouTube because they found us through those individual videos. So what we decided was that, you know what? The benefit is just too great. Some of our subscribers really enjoy watching the individual segments, and a lot of the people, we have like almost 140,000 subscribers now. And a lot of those people have found us through those individual segments that we put up on YouTube because they would search for a movie news story and they'd find one of our individual segments, become fans and click subscribe and become a subscriber to our channel. So we decided that while it is a bit annoying for some people to get that big long list of new videos in their watch lists, we felt and we believe that the benefit of what the fans were telling us, that they like watching the individual segments, and a lot of them found us through those individual things. We want viewers in the future to be able to find us. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to discover us. Because if you'll notice, up until now, there are no AMC Movie News commercials. You don't walk into it. You have never walked into an AMC movie theater and seen an AMC Movie News poster. AMC Movie News is not on the AMC mobile app. You don't walk into the theater and see an AMC, at least up to this point, you haven't walked into an AMC theater and seen an ad for AMC Movie News. We do no advertising whatsoever. All the growth that we've had has been thanks to you, the Sons of AMC, spreading the word, and for people discovering us on YouTube. And most of the time when they discover us on YouTube, they discover us through the individual segments. And so we just kind of felt, well, I totally hear where you're coming from, and I acknowledge that's a drawback. But like everything, there's a drawback and there's positives, and you have to decide what outweighs which. And we just felt that the positives outweighed the negative. And who knows? I mean, we'll keep... we'll revisit that issue every year. We'll think about it. We'll sit down. We'll talk about it, see where things are at, and maybe we'll change our mind at some point. But for now, we think there's a lot of benefit to having those individual segments there on top of the main show. So we're gonna keep it like that for now. But thank you so much for bringing up the question, and because I wanted to acknowledge you're not the only one who said that to us before. You're not the only one, and I want you to know that we listen. We've given a lot of thought to this, and we'll continue to give a lot of thought to this. Thank you for giving us your input. And don't ever apologize for giving input that might sound negative, because that's how you get better. That's how we get better. When people give us suggestions and point out things that maybe they think don't work, that's how we get better. Never apologize for that. Thank you so much for sending in your concern. I really appreciate it. All right. The next question we're going to take today comes from Darcy Oliver. And Darcy writes, hello AMC, love the show. I'm a big fan. My question is, could you do a video for the AMC Theaters YouTube channel about the behind the scenes of AMC and what it takes to bring the show to life? I have always been interested on the equipment John uses on the Weekend Mailbag show, such as the mic and how he is able to switch the cameras to different people, what software he uses, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe also do a tour of the studio for the weekday shows. Maybe Dennis can put the video together since he is the production manager. Okay, well, since we're here in my home studio, this is where we do mailbag, and sometimes we'll do an AMC spoilers review from here too. This is our Studio B. And this is a quick and dirty studio that I set up, and I'm thrilled with what I have here, but it's a very simple studio setup here, and I'll give you a quick tour. First of all, it's a simple, like, $200 microphone, not super expensive. Basically, so the program I use to do my switching is a piece of software called Wirecast. Wirecast, I think you can get it for about $500. It's really not that expensive at all. And actually, I'm going to grab my camera here, and I'm going to break the wall. All right. Hey, everybody. Woo! Closer to me than you've ever wanted to be. All right. First of all, so here's my desk. I got my keyboard. Here is the Shuttle Pro. This device here is what I use to control a lot of things, so I can control a lot of stuff with one hand. So I can switch between cameras with one hand. I can switch between transitions with one hand. I can rotate through frames. I can do a lot of stuff with this, and there's an individual piece of software for that. So over here is the soundboard. Let me get my water out of the way. This is a simple $200 soundboard. So what happens is we run the microphones, like this one here. We run the mic into the soundboard. As you can see, we run all of our mics. We got like 3 microphones plugged in right now. We run all the mics into there, and then via USB, we run the microphones into the computer, which is right there. There's the computer right there. It's a 27-inch Mac with a separate 27-inch monitor beside us. There's more mics sitting around. So that's how we capture the audio. So we use this camera, but here's a good picture. This is another camera. I don't use expensive cameras in my home studio. This is a $145 HD web camera. So there's one there. There's one there that you can see, and I'm holding one in my hand. And I realized I didn't need to buy $1,000 cameras. So I spent about $350, bought 3 HD webcams, and so now we've got the mics plugged into the soundboard, and the soundboard goes into the computer. We got the 3 cameras. The cameras are all set up and go into the computer. And then what happens is my software, Wirecast, recognizes all the camera sources and my audio sources, in this case my the soundboard, and I can mix them together. I switch it with that Shuttle Pro that you saw down there, and I can either stream directly to YouTube or I can pre-record it, and that's how I do it. And I speak sometimes at some functions. I tell people, look, you don't need $15,000 to get up and running to do a decent YouTube show. Also, I'll take down that camera here. Yeah, let me grab this one here. Okay, so my lights too. See that light there? And there's that other big bright light source there. I mean, those lights are like cheap. I bought those lights for like $200 or $300, and you get great light, great sound, all that kind of stuff. So that's the behind the scenes about how I do Studio B and how I do things here. Our main studio, where we do AMC Movie Talk, that's a multi-million-dollar studio. That's a different thing. But yes, Dennis and I have talked. We are going to put together a behind-the-scenes look at how things function for AMC Movie Talk, which is a much grander scale production. I mean, not only do you have the cast, we have like 5 crew members that are running around, setting cameras, lights, controlling movements in the editing room, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. It's more of a full-scale production. But as you can see, what I do here at here in my home studio, it's really quite simple, and that's kind of the way I like it. So there you go. All right, we got one more question from the mailbag, which we will take, and then we'll get to some Twitter questions. And this question comes to us from Tony C. And Tony C writes, "Hi, John and company. I just watched Captain Phillips, and I realized that other than the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, Tom Hanks has not been in a live-action franchise. Like, not that 2 films count. Not that 2 films counts. I'm not sure what that means. Anyway, do you think this is a conscious decision? What would you say? And what would you say as Tom Hanks as Commissioner Gordon? Well, yeah, I mean, you said live action. You say Toy Story. Obviously, Tom Hanks has been in that franchise. But yeah, he did Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, so that's a franchise. But he hasn't been in any other franchise. Was this a conscious choice? I don't think so. I just think if you look at the films that Tom Hanks has done, very, very few of them have franchise potential. I know they were hoping Dragnet. Do you remember that comedy Dragnet that he did with Dan Aykroyd? I know Tom Hanks, I know the studio was originally hoping that could become a franchise. I know they were hoping they could do Dragnet 2, 3, 4, and 5, but it kind of fell off the rails and they were never able to do that. But when you look like Forrest Gump, you can't do a sequel to Forrest Gump. Saving Private Banks, you can't do a sequel to Saving Private Banks. Philadelphia, you can't do a sequel to Philadelphia. And on and on and on and on and on. I mean, most of his films just aren't potential franchise films. And I don't think it's a conscious decision. I don't think he avoids films that could have the potential to be franchises. I just think when you look at the films that he has done, most of them don't lend themselves to having sequels. And now he did Da Vinci Code, and that did have the potential for becoming a franchise, and he did the sequel. And I believe he's going to do the third one as well. So no, I don't think it's a conscious decision. As far as do I think he could play Commissioner Gordon? Look, he's one of the best actors in the world. He could play anything he wants. So obviously, that's a no-brainer question. Hey, do you think one of the best actors in the world would be a good Commissioner Gordon? Of course he would. I mean, he would be good in any role whatsoever. So let's not worry about that too much. All right. That being said, let's go to the Twitter board that I announced yesterday. I sent out a Facebook and a tweet message saying, hey, I'm going to have a segment of Mailbag where I'm just taking questions from Twitter. So if you want to tweet something, just put in the hashtag AMC Mailbag. And I'll find it and I'll get it and I'll address it on the show. So let's see what we've got in the Twitter feed right now. Right now we got that Frederick Himpy writes, hey, John, do you think Iron Man 3 would be better or stronger if Favreau had directed it instead of Shane Black? I thought Iron Man 3 was great. I really liked Iron Man 3. I didn't think it was quite as good as the first Iron Man, but I thought it was leaps and bounds better than Iron Man 2. Favreau directed Iron Man 2, and I think Iron Man 3 was a better film. So, no, I don't think it would have been better if Favreau... And I love Favreau as a director. Don't get me wrong. I think he would have done a fine job with Iron Man 3. But I think Shane Black also did a very fine job. So I think there's no problem there. By the way, I'm not screening, unlike the mailbag questions, which I read through them and pick and choose. I'm not screening the tweets. I'm just going through them as they appear in the Twitter feed. So keep that in mind. I'm not picking these questions. These are just there, okay? So that could get dangerous. Anyway, the next thing on the Twitter board is from Christopher Parsons, who writes, how will the lasso of truth be worked into the more grounded Justice League movie? Honestly, I don't think you're going to see the lasso of truth. I could be wrong. And I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they find a cool, non-hokey way to do it. But honestly, I don't think they're going to use a lasso of truth with this Wonder Woman in the cinematic universe. Could be wrong. Could be totally wrong. And I'm open to being wrong, and I'm okay if I'm wrong. But that's, you ask me if I think they will. I don't think they will. Next question comes from Ryan LaBarbera, who writes, is the Independence Day sequel better or worse off without Will Smith? Great question. Now, look, right now, Will Smith is not out. The last we heard, they have 2 versions of the script, and they're ready to shoot either one of them. One version of the script has Will Smith in it. One does not. And I think they started talking again with Will Smith. So it is very possible we could see Will Smith in it. Now, would it be better or worse without it? Look, all other things being equal, I would rather Independence Day have Will Smith in it. All other things being equal, if you just give me a flat choice, everything else is the same. Do you want Independence Day with Will Smith or without? I choose with. So I hope he's there. But, at the same time, I don't think it's absolutely necessary that he's there. I think Independence Day, the sequel, can succeed with or without Will Smith. But if you're going to ask me, all things being equal, which would I prefer? I would prefer having Will Smith there. Next question comes from John. John Edzua, who writes, with Fantastic Four shooting next month and no casting announced, do you think that the date might be pushed back. Nah, I don't think so. I think this is another one of those situations. I think their casting decisions made. I think this is, look, I remember I said long before they announced Batman, long before they announced Ben Affleck was Batman, I said, look, I guarantee you he's already cast. Batman is already cast. I also said I guarantee the first person they went to was Ben Affleck. I think I was the only guy in the world to call that. But I guaranteed everybody he was cast for months before they announced it. And sure enough, not long after he was announced as Batman, it was revealed that he had been cast. He had been signed up to play Batman for like 5 months already. I believe the same is true now. I believe their cast is now set. And I just don't believe they're letting us know. Maybe 1 or 2 roles are still kind of iffy. But I guarantee you, making the final casting decision is not that hard. They're going to make it, and it's not going to delay the film whatsoever. If the film gets delayed, it will have nothing to do with the fact that they haven't announced the cast yet. If anything, they haven't announced the cast yet because they're looking at delaying the film, but it won't be the other way around. But I don't think they're going to change today. I think they're set on their date, and I think they're getting ready to start shooting here pretty soon. Next question comes to us from Nick. And Nick writes, greetings and salutations. I heard there was supposed to be a Chuck movie. Is that still happening? Don't believe it. There's not a Chuck movie coming. No way. No way. I would be curious to see where you heard that from. And stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. I don't believe for a second there's a Chuck movie coming. Not at all. And don't get me wrong. I know a couple of guys involved with that show. I would be very interested to see a Chuck movie, but it went off air for a reason. It wasn't getting the numbers. People aren't interested in it. There's not going to be a Chuck movie. Hope I'm wrong. Love to wake up tomorrow to find out I have to eat my words. That would be awesome, but there's not going to be a Chuck movie. Next, Christopher. The next question comes to us from Christopher Manley, who writes, any news on the next or final Die Hard movie? Nah, nothing yet. I haven't heard any new stuff about it yet, except they are looking at doing another Die Hard, but they keep saying it's the final one. I won't believe for a second that it's the final one, even if they do. They could kill Bruce Willis at the end. They could chop his head off, cut his body into 4 pieces, and feed all the pieces to alligators. And if that movie makes money, they will find a way to bring Bruce Willis back for the next one. So I never believe it when they say it's the last one, but I haven't heard anything new. T-Dog Terrell writes, who do you think will die in Avengers 2? My guess would be Hawkeye, due to Whedon saying he's having a big part in the film. I said this before. There's nothing guaranteeing anybody's going to die. Whedon is known to kill off characters, and that's a good thing because it keeps audiences on their toes. They certainly aren't going to kill Iron Man. They certainly aren't going to kill Thor. They certainly aren't going to kill Captain America because we know Thor 3 and Captain America 3 are coming. I don't think they're going to kill off Nick Fury. Some people are speculating Nick Fury is going to die and Captain America will become the new head of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't think they're going to do that, at least not yet. I've always speculated that if there's anybody who's disposable at this point, it's Hawkeye and his Black Widow. They are the 2 plain human characters. I don't think they've been used great so far. Don't get me wrong. I love the actors performing in them, and I think they've done a great job, but I don't think they've been given the best material to work with so far for them. And as far as I know, I think Scarlett Johansson has even said she's not interested in coming back once her current contract is done. And I think it's done after the next Avengers. So that would kind of make it obvious, Black Widow to be the obvious choice to kill off. So, but who knows? I mean, it could be anybody. It could be Quicksilver, could be Scarlet Witch, could be Vision, could be anybody. But it ain't going to be Iron Man. It ain't going to be Thor. It ain't going to be Captain America. I can guarantee you that. All right, next question comes from Dave Merchan. And Dave Merchan writes, do you believe that a Kick-Ass 3 could still happen even with the mediocre box office of Kick-Ass 2? Nope, don't think it's going to happen. And I really like Kick-Ass 2. I didn't like it as much as the first Kick-Ass. It really suffered from the lack of Big Daddy. That movie, at the end of the movie, I remember I walked out, I really liked Kick-Ass 2, but there was something about it that was just missing. And then I realized it was the type of element that Big Daddy brought to the film, and that was gone. They tried to fill that with Colonel Stars and Stripes, but it just wasn't the same. That movie needed Big Daddy. And he wasn't there, and it suffered for it. But I still thought it was really good. But no, Hit Girl ain't a little girl anymore. The movie did pretty okay, but not okay enough that makes it important for people wanted to stand up and make another one. Plus, Aaron Taylor Johnson is just getting too old to play Kick-Ass. And now his career's kind of blowing up. So I don't think he'll be interested in going backwards to it. Hit Girl ain't a girl anymore. Now it's Hit Woman. I don't think they're going to do a Kick-Ass 3 at all. Next question comes from Jose Bach, and Jose Bach writes, love the show. Saw Lego's movie. Awesome. After the movie, everyone wanted Legos. Were you inspired to buy some as well? I kid you not. We came out of watching Lego, and I turned to Ann and I said, I want to go home and play the Batman Lego game. We had no Legos here, but I wanted to play the Batman Lego game. And then I think it was just this morning we were talking about maybe going to the store and we were talking about how expensive Legos are now. And we were talking about that. I wonder if we can find a bucket of Legos, like just the building blocks, just plain building blocks. But yes, I wanted to play with Legos after watching the Lego movie. Okay. Next question comes to us from Eric. And Eric writes, this is Eric Curto. Hello, AMC Movie Talk. Hope you're having a great week. My question is in response to your comic book writers. You know what? This is spread out too much, Eric. I got to skip your question. Matthew Nagra writes, hey, John, will changing the shooting location of Man of Steel affect continuity since some places may look different? No, because no matter where they shoot, they'll make it look the same. They'll make it look the same. They'll come up with a way to make it look the same, so it won't affect continuity whatsoever. Next question comes to us from Graham Harwell, who writes, since the genre usually consists of small budgets, what would you think of a big budget horror film? I'd love a big budget horror film in the hands, especially of like a Sam Raimi. Give me a big budget horror film in the hands of Sam Raimi. I'm all for it. I'm on board. Noob Taylor writes, my friend has been saying a rumor that the Guardian from Thor is going to be Ultron. Maybe he merges with Tony's suit. I don't buy it. No, I wouldn't put any stock in that whatsoever. Next question comes from, I don't know how to say your name, sir. that's in Greek. Man wins Peron. I can't remember my Bible. I used to study Greek in my theology school, and I can't remember how to read it. Anyway, this gentleman with the Greek name writes, I'm a huge One Piece fan. I don't know what that means. Do you think it can work? One Piece, is that a book or something? I'm a huge One Piece fan. Do you think it can work as a decent live action adaptation? If not, which anime can? Honestly, I can't comment on that since I don't know the property, so I'm not going to pretend that I know when I don't. Richard Crump writes, will you be doing a meet and greet with fans again at this year's San Diego Comic-Con? Yeah, I'm not quite sure. We may be doing some really big stuff at San Diego Comic-Con this year. We may be doing next to nothing. But I do know for sure that we are going to at least do a meet and greet again. We had such a good time at the AMC Movie Talk meet and greet last year. It was so cool meeting fans from all over the country who came and had a drink with us and just had a good time. So we will announce pretty soon the wheres and whens of our meet and greet at Comic-Con. And please, if you're going to be at Comic-Con or anywhere near San Diego, come on down to the meet and greet and hang out with us there. Me and the whole AMC Movie Talk crew will be there, so I hope you can be a part of that. Next question. LDP Talk Coming Soon writes, hey, John Campy, do you think that Greg Rucka's Batman No Man's Land would be great for a movie? Yeah, it would be great for a movie, but I don't want Robin. I don't want Huntress. I don't want any of that stuff in there. So, plus, it doesn't fit into their movie continuity right now. So, I don't think you're ever going to see it. It would maybe make a great animated straight-to-home video movie. I would watch that. But in theaters, I don't think it'll ever be there. Let's take 2 or 3 more. If Steve Peralta writes, if Batman Beyond was to get a live-action TV series, wouldn't it be cool to see Kevin Conroy take on the role of Old Man Wayne? It doesn't matter. Nobody knows who Kevin Conroy is outside of the people who watch Batman Beyond, which was nobody. There's a reason that show lasted only 2 seasons and hasn't been revived since, really. And nobody knows who Kevin Conroy is. I mean, they may recognize his voice. Like, I'll recognize his voice as Batman, but most people won't. So just because he's a great voice actor, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Kevin Conroy's a great on-screen actor, but just because he did a great voice for an animated character doesn't mean he would be a great on-screen actor. I simply don't know. Maybe he's the best actor that ever lived. I simply don't know. So I don't have much of an, all I know is that it would be really cool for a very tiny minority of people. That Kevin Conroy, the guy who did the voice of Batman, Bruce Wayne, and all those animated shows, was to become the live action version. That would be a really cool thing to about 15 people. I'm exaggerating, but to a very small minority of people. And I just don't have the knowledge if he's a good actor or not. I just know he's a great voice actor. Let's see. Which movie do you think, Chris Morich Man 300 writes, which movie do you think will have the bigger opening weekend at the box office in May? Spider-Man 2, Godzilla, or X-Men Days of Future Past? Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is going to have the biggest opening box office weekend, no doubt. No doubt whatsoever. Followed by X-Men Days of Future Past, and then Godzilla will come up there. Godzilla's still a little bit of a question mark about how audiences are going to respond to it. I'm honestly, I don't know if it's going to make 40 million opening weekend, if it's going to make 25 million opening weekend, or if it'll make 95 opening weekend. I'm usually I have a guess. I just don't have a guess about this one. Except I do think Spider-Man will be first. I think X-Men will be second. And I think Godzilla will be third. Okay, last question. Which G.I. Joe movie did you enjoy better, Rise of Cobra or Retaliation? Neither were very good, to be honest. I'll say I preferred Retaliation. Although once again, I don't think it was all that good. But if you're going to ask me which did I like more, I'll say Retaliation. All right, folks, that'll do it for me. I'm all done here. Thank you so much for joining me today here on AMC Movie Talk. Really appreciate you taking time to join me. And listen, the most important part of these shows is not listening to me spout off. It's about the interaction. It's about you hopping in the comments section and saying what you agreed with what I said, what you disagreed with what I said, maybe correcting me where I made a mistake. That's the great thing about this show is it's not just me and my head. It's like 100,000 other sons of AMC out there who can also contribute their Borg brain hive knowledge to the conversation. So if I made a mistake, by all means, correct me, please. That's how I learn. So make sure you jump down there, leave your thoughts on any or all the topics and questions we discussed here today. Don't forget, lots of great movies playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. And don't forget, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Guys, thanks so much for being here today. This good weekend. Looking forward to AMC Movie Talk. I'm going to announce right now, let you know, tomorrow's AMC Movie Talk show, Monday, February 9th. Really excited. He and I have been trying for a while. Monday, February 10th. Jeremy and I have been trying to make this happen for a while, and we're finally making it happen. YouTube film critic Jeremy Johns is going to be in studio with us on AMC as a guest on AMC Movie Talk. So I know a lot of you guys are fans of Jeremy, and I'm a fan of Jeremy's. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you join us for that and spread the word about it. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campion for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.